Live from clickorlando.com, News 6 Plus, and WKMG. We're getting results in your neighborhood now at 6:30 p.m.
Good evening. This is News 6 at 6:30, getting results. Thank you for joining us here live on News 6 Plus. I'm Ginger Gadsden.
And I'm Justin Mormouth. Well, it's been a rainy and stormy afternoon. What do you know? Big shocker. Yeah. Big shocker there. So let's get over to meteorologist Jonathan Kegas. He's pinpointing where those evening showers are still lingering, Jonathan.
Hey guys, yeah, we're watching some river levels as well. The Little Khyber River is working its way toward flood stage. We're at 28.16 right now. Minor flood stage starts at 29. The forecast is to get this just underneath moderate flood stage. So if you're living around the Little Khyber River and Altamont Springs in between 434 and 436, keep a close eye on this. We may have reached the crest, but again, this could get very, very close into that minor flood stage region and then closing in on that 28.5 foot mark, which is, again, very close to the moderate flood stage. This is a flash flood, so it's going to come up and then come down very, very quickly. So it's not going to last, just a little bit higher than what it did last night if you were outside by your house and watching the river come up. Look at all the rain, though, that came down over the past few hours. The timeline on this is 6 hours, but most of this fell in about 3. And you see anywhere from about 6 to 7 inches of rain from about Altamont Springs, Winter Springs into Longwood, just to the west of Oviedo, about 2 to 3 inches of rain to University Park. Lake Mary on the lighter side, but still some heavy rain for a time closer to Wekiva Springs State Park. 2 to 3 inches of rain falling in about 2 or 3 hours. So it was coming down. Right now, we still have a few stray showers exiting the Altamont Springs area right now. The heaviest stuff locally is hanging around Kissimmee, St. Cloud, into Poinciana. Big thunderstorms along the Gulf Coast tonight. Some of that going to try to bounce back towards us. We're going to take a look at that in about 15 minutes, guys.
All right, thank you, Jonathan. We're following the latest updates on that deadly shooting at a high school in Georgia tonight. We're being told the suspected 14-year-old shooter is in police custody, and students who were taking shelter at the football stadium are now finally being reunited with their families.
Yeah, what a day. 4 people were killed and 9 others were hospitalized after chaos erupted at the high school earlier this morning. Now the superintendent says all schools in the county will be closed for the rest of this week. CBS's Dave Malkoff has more from the scene in Winder, Georgia.
Officials say gunfire erupted at this Georgia high school Wednesday morning.
There are 4 individuals who are deceased from this incident, 9 that have been taken to local hospitals with various injuries. Of those that are deceased, 2 were students and 2 were teachers here at the school.
The Barrow County Sheriff's Office says a suspect was taken into custody after gun violence at Appalachia High School.
He is a 14-year-old student here at the high school. Within minutes, law enforcement was on scene, as well as 2 school resource officers assigned here to the school. Once they encountered the subject immediately surrendered to these officers, and he was taken into custody.
The sheriff's office said officers from multiple law enforcement agencies, fire and EMS personnel were dispatched to the school in response to the shooting.
I heard like 12, 15 different gunshots. It was like boom, boom.
Like the gunshots were so close to me, like my ears started ringing real bad. Like the whole classroom was smoking.
I was in class and we heard shots. The teacher ran, slammed the door, made us all go in the corner.
The FBI's Atlanta office says agents are on the scene and supporting local law enforcement. During the chaos, the school with about 1,900 students was placed on lockdown. They later evacuated to the school's football field and were cleared to reunite with their families. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp says he directed all available state resources to respond to the incident. Dave Malkoff, CBS News, Winder, Georgia.
Tonight, the Daytona Beach police chief is claiming a major drop in violent crime in his city, largely due to a team he put together of, quote, tough, aggressive enforcers, 10 men and women.
Yeah, the chief gave them one direct order: go after the most dangerous criminals and do everything in their power legally to prevent violent crime. News 6 anchor Eric Von Anken sat down with the leader of Violent Criminal Apprehension Team, or VCAT, and the police chief to find out how they're getting results protecting our community.
I was talking to the Daytona Beach police chief recently about the crackdown that he's been doing around the city on illegal gambling, and he told me about something else. This, VCAT, the Violent Criminal Apprehension Team. He started this, and check this out. This is what they do.
Boss man, you're not free to leave. Come here.
Who's this guy?
So this is the passenger got out the vehicle and started running.
Red hoodie, please.
And at some point, he pulled the gun out and started running with the gun.
Drop him or get shot.
And he puts it. He's running with a mask on.
A mask, a gun, and he's running away from you, and it's dark, and it's the middle of the night.
Yes, it's almost midnight at this time. And the guy showed great restraint.
Stand by, taking him 10-12.
I'm Lieutenant Chauncey Hampton. I'm over the Violent Criminal Apprehension Team.
All right, stinger and stick hit ×4.
Chief, you invented VCAT because of something strange that is happening in November, every November?
Every November, for whatever reason, there's this uptick in violent crime. So in 2022, to get ahead of that, I had a command staff meeting and I said, hey, we need to come up with some form of a team that can just get out there and be extremely proactive so that we can prevent a rough November. And it has paid off big time, because for me it was a roll of the dice, because with the makeup of our city, you know, we have to be really, really careful in how we go after bad guys, because everybody's going to flee in a car, and what we don't want is innocent people getting hurt fleeing from the police.
What are the results you're getting? You've seen violent crime drop drastically.
It has dropped drastically. Let's go back. 2022 had about 16 homicides. So far this year, I've only had 5, and only one of them is related to gun violence. And a large part of that is what that team is doing on a nightly basis out there. They're out there, they're stopping cars, they're recovering firearms, they're recovering narcotics, and they're making those critical arrests.
Give me your arm.
And here's more results. VCAT tells me in the first 3 months alone that they started, they chased more than 70 cars. All of this year, they've only had 30 car chases. That means that people have stopped running from them, at least in a car. Protecting our community in Daytona Beach, Eric Von Anken getting results. News 6.
All right, here's a live look now over Mount Dora, courtesy of the city of Mount Dora. This is Lake Dora, really beautiful lake, and it's also one of the largest lakes in Lake County. And the Mount Dora Fire Department says a lot of people use it. That's also a reason they have the need for a new water rescue unit. News 6's Emily McLeod was in Mount Dora this morning getting a first look at this new unit and how they'll respond in an emergency.
When you heard that y'all were getting this new unit, what was your first response?
About time.
The Mount Dora Fire Department is now home to a new water rescue unit. Lieutenant Raymond Capitola says he's been pushing for the unit because Mount Dora is a waterfront community.
We have this huge marina here. We have a very busy boat ramp. Boat sales over the last 3 years have been crazy, and so we have a lot of inexperienced people on the water.
Before the department had a water rescue unit, they relied on the Lake County Sheriff's Office to help in an emergency.
How crucial is it to be able to cut down that response time when it comes to a water emergency?
Oh, very crucial. You know, if you have someone in the water in distress and maybe even without a life jacket, you know, seconds matter.
Lieutenant Capitola says the sandbar also fueled the need for a water rescue unit. Capitola says the sandbar is just a few miles outside of Lake Dora and says sometimes hundreds of boats will meet up in that area.
When you get that many boaters together, it poses a problem, and sometimes you get injuries from boats crashing or hitting one another. That is another one of the reasons that this program, I think, is going to be so successful for the future, is just the need. There's a lot of activities going on out here on this lake that we're responsible for.
Mount Dora's Fire Chief Joseph Hightower says they'll respond to water emergencies like any other call. The unit's equipment will stay on Lake Dora. Once the department gets a call, the crew will head to Lake Dora, get on the jet ski, and respond to the emergency.
We've practiced this, so our crews sort of know, you know, where they go. So, you know, they'll bring the responding crew there to take the jet ski. Then we'll be prepared on land to set up the receiving areas.
Right now there are 12 members of the unit. Lieutenant Capitola says they're hoping to get that number up to 18. In Mount Dora, Emily McLeod getting results, News 6.
So let's take a look at what's trending right now on Central Florida's #1 news website. We're talking about clickorlando.com. The Withlacoochee State Forest is more than 150,000 acres, making it a tough place to navigate if you don't know where you're going. For those who find just the right spot, they can explore one of the oldest caves in the state. And it's not only the cave you can explore, that is, if you're willing to take the risk. I guess my first question is, you have to be willing to explore, and it's a huge forest.
I mean, it looked like a lot of people explored based on the graffiti, so they got in there.
That sounds like the beginning of every horror story, right? No.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm not a huge cave guy.
Not a cave guy.
I don't trust them.
Not a caveman is what I'm hearing.
Bingo. But a member of the News 6 team is a cave guy, or at least he took the risk, and that is ClickOrlando.com and News 6 digital producer Anthony Talcott. So, Tony, you have more on these caves, and you also have a glimpse of more of what they look like, right?
Oh, absolutely. I took a trip out there just this past weekend to get a better look at the site, which is called Dames Cave, by the way. Now, you can find it in the Citrus County tract of Withlacoochee Forest. It's over on the west side, but it's not alone. You see, Dames Cave is a system that's made up of at least 4 other caves that are accessible to the public. Now, to find this one, you'll want to park at the makeshift lot on the side of County Road 491 near West Lone Court and then follow that trailhead east into the forest. Now, after around half a mile or so, you'll come across a small clearing with a large gaping hole in the ground. This is Dames Cave.
Oh my God.
Now, it's also called Vandal Cave because, like Justin said, all the graffiti that's in there.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't just jump in if I were you. It's a pretty steep drop, actually, so it's a much better idea just to go around to the other side of the hole. That's where you can find a small entrance that leads inside. And while I don't condone vandalism, the graffiti in the cave actually helps to brighten it up and gives it a nice little bit of color.
Okay.
Now, but like I said before, Dames Cave, it's not the only hidey hole to explore out there. We've actually got a couple others. Now, a word of warning, this next one you might want to avoid if you're a little claustrophobic. Now, a little earlier up on the trail, you're likely to spot a tree with a peace symbol plastered on its trunk. And if you follow this sub-trail, you'll come across the next site, Peace Cave. And I'm sure you can imagine where it got that moniker. It's located by this tree you can see right there. That's also covered in graffiti and peace signs, and its entrance is located near the tree's roots through a small hole. Now, be warned, this one is a much tighter squeeze, and you'll probably want a flashlight because it's almost pitch black inside.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Are those your feet?
Oh, that's my feet. I went in there all right. Now, if you choose to delve into this 50-foot-long cave, you'll come into a huge chamber, and it's filled with, you guessed it, more graffiti.
Wow.
Now, just be careful about going it alone. 2 teens back in 1999, they actually got trapped in this cave after they got stuck in a hairpin turn. So it's supposed to be plenty spacious for most travelers. You just don't want to go into any tight spaces. Now, the last 2 caves out there, Sick Bat and Danger Caves, are also accessible to visitors, though they're known for being much harder to traverse, thanks to being incredibly narrow and full of tight corridors. Now, because of that, I don't recommend trying these ones out if you're new to caving and aren't sure what you're doing. But if you'd like to check out the caves for yourself, the State Forest is open year-round from sunrise to sunset, and I recommend bringing plenty of water to stay hydrated, maybe using the bathroom ahead of time because you're not going to find any facilities out there in the woods. Now, as always, you can find all of our top stories on the homepage at ClickOrlando.com. And on that note, Ginger, Justin, would you guys take the plunge?
I don't know, I'm still caught up on that. I saw plenty of trees, Tony, so there are plenty of opportunities for
restroom breaks.
Relieving.
So, I mean, but okay, so did you feel safe? Like, did you see any artwork by Banksy in any of those caves? Because, I mean, some of it was pretty beautiful, but did you feel safe going down there?
Well, I felt pretty safe. There were actually other folks in the woods there, too. It's a pretty common spot for a lot of the locals, so.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I would stay away from a lot of those tighter areas. The 2 that I showed you tend to be a lot wider, so they're a lot tougher to actually get stuck in. You just go in, you go out, and it's a nice little trip.
I mean, it gives me the heebie-jeebies talking about getting stuck in a cave, because that's why I don't trust the cave. I mean, the caves are there. People can go. I'm claustrophobic.
Oh, yeah, this is not
I
for
could
you.
never enjoy it. Just trying to go and, let's go see what's down this corner.
No, just don't. If you already know, then you already just don't do it.
Very enlightening and some great information there from Tony. Yeah, love
kudos
that.
to you.
Thanks,
Great job.
Anthony.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Coming up, making preschool education a top priority in Osceola County.
Yeah, and leaders are doing this in a way to make learning last almost year-round. And we're going to show you how this works inside these learning hubs that are getting results for young kids. You're watching News 6 at 6:30 live on News 6 Plus. We're getting results for all of Central Florida, and we'll be right back.
Brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places.
All right, taking a live look now over downtown Orlando. This is courtesy of the Light Orlando delivering Hope camera. It has been a stormy afternoon, and especially in some pockets of central Florida, we're seeing flash flood warnings as well, and rivers getting close to cresting, Jonathan?
Yeah, that's right. Little Wekiva River, we're watching that closely for our friends in Altamont Springs between 434 and 436. It's getting close to getting into minor flood stage. It may have crested. We're going to wait and see the next hour. The heaviest rain there has come to an end, so that's at least some good news. But we got about 4 to 6 inches of rain. Just
that will do some damage.
It will.
It's dangerous.
It will. So we are keeping our fingers crossed that it stays in its bank. So if you're living near there, please keep a close eye on that river. It should not take long to get back down. That's what we call it, a flash flood. Although right now we don't have any flooding because it hasn't come over the banks just yet. We're hoping it stays that way. Do you have some big time thunderstorms? Nothing severe. There's nothing damaging out there, but they're putting down some pretty heavy rain into Kissimmee, parts of St. Cloud. Much lighter now. Just a few sprinkles coming through Apopka into Zellwood, Tangerine. Heaviest stuff right now along the I-75 corridor and certainly the Gulf Coast of Florida. And then there we go, just into southern Alachua County and into parts of northern Marion County, just north of Ocala towards Fort McCoy and Reddick. That's where we have some of the heavier thunderstorms going on right now. In terms of what we're watching on the Little Wekiva, this gauge updates every hour, so we should actually be getting a brand new update in the next few minutes. So I'll pass it along if we do get it before the show ends. But we're sitting at 28.16. That puts us just shy of minor flood stage, and then 29 feet is going to be moderate flood stage. And once we get to 29 feet, that's whenever water actually starts to come over 434. So again, that's that next significant benchmark. Again, currently still in its banks as of the last hour, which was 5:30. We're going to get that 6:30 update any minute now. As far as the rest of the evening goes, we are still going to be watching for the opportunity for those storms that I just showed you around Kissimmee and St. Cloud to build again. And we're likely going to see some of these storms linger, especially around I-4 and points to the west later on this evening. There's 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. I think most of us start things off dry like we saw today, and then we fire up both sea breezes. There's 3 to 4 o'clock. Lighting up big time along I-95, and we have a few storms getting going around I-75, and then we see things fill in, really colliding the two sea breezes to help force thunderstorms around and along the I-4 corridor. So another rockin' night likely coming our way again tomorrow before we try to quiet things down just a little bit, but those rain chances still stay elevated for your weekend. Thunderstorms being reported at the airport. That's from that cell that's drifting up out of Kissimmee into St. Cloud. It's a live look with our Light Orlando delivering Hope Sky Cam. Temperatures now back to the low 80s. We're at 77 though in Sanford where we had some rain, 77 in the Villages. Now here's a look at your pinpoint, accurate forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by Florida Lottery.
We're back to the lower 90s again along the I-75 corridor, more like 90 degrees in Sanford, about 90 as well in New Smyrna Beach. Tropics, there's a lot of blobbiness going on, a lot of yellow bubbles that you see on your screen here. None of these are too concerning for us at all. All of them right now have a low chance to develop over the next 7 days. So all things considered, with all this marking on your screen here, we're doing pretty good. Now here's a look at your pinpoint accurate 7-day forecast, holding tight in the low 90s tomorrow. Rain chances at 70%, staying elevated over the weekend, back up to 70% next Tuesday and Wednesday, guys.
Thank you, Jonathan. Well, we are just a few weeks into the new school year, right? But for younger kids in Osceola County, the summer was all about learning.
Yeah, the county introducing early learning hubs that encourage kids and their parents to take time to learn. News 6's Jarrell Baker got a look at how they work.
Is our little library where the kids can come and read books and gather together.
Whether you're at Solid Rock Community Church in Kissimmee or at One Clean Laundry in St. Cloud, kids are starting to notice these early learning hubs filled with dozens of books across Osceola County.
I wish they were available when I was a mom because I can imagine doing laundry and then keeping my kiddo busy.
The Early Learning Coalition of Osceola County is using $650,000 from a federal grant, setting up 10 hubs so far this year.
When children see something child-sized, they just immediately know that it belongs to them.
CEO Amanda Kelkenberg says it's a way to boost child literacy, improve the kindergarten readiness, and encourage families to play and learn together.
There's really some thinking that play is meant for everyday moments, and if we can get play and books into everyday spaces, families will be better off.
This is our dining and healthy eating room where they learn to make healthy foods.
Solid Rock Community Church is using $150,000 to create the largest hub with multiple rooms, multilingual books, and activities.
We have a lot of underrepresented families, a lot of families who are experiencing situations where they're not able to provide these type of opportunities for their children. So to be able to do this in our church is a blessing and a way for us to serve and give back to the community. A little cash register with the little credit card.
Right now, families can stop by the church on weekends. Jeffers says they have plans to open more hours during the week once they get more staff. The coalition is planning to open 5 more over the next year. In Osceola County, Jarrell Baker getting results, News 6.
Well, after an extended stay at the International Space Station, Boeing Starliner is finally set to come home this weekend.
Unlike the launch, though, the capsule will be returning without a crew. Officials just mapped out how this return is expected to go. We're going to have more on that when News 6 at 6:30 continues. We're back in 2 minutes.
Coming up in the morning, turning an old golf course into a new neighborhood.
Yeah, where leaders are set to vote on a plan to add hundreds of new houses and why a whole lot of neighbors aren't happy about the idea.
Plus your pinpoint weather and traffic every 10 minutes. We'll see you for News 6 morning starting at 5 a.m.
NASA and Boeing are targeting Friday for a return to Earth of the Starliner spacecraft, but the capsule will be uncrewed this time around.
Yeah, in a press conference held today, NASA provided some pretty major updates on how this trip could play out. So, Starliner has been up there for nearly 2 months now. Its astronauts, Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams, will be there until February. They're missing Christmas, they're missing New Year's, Halloween. They're up there till February. Thruster issues and helium leaks on the trip there. Part of the reason why NASA decided to bring the craft home itself. But let's take a look at what that trip could look like. So Sonny and Butch will close Starliner's hatch tomorrow at the ISS, and it will not be reopened. And then the spacecraft is expected to leave the station Friday en route to land in the White Sands Space Harbor in New Mexico, 6 hours after takeoff. Starliner has springs that will push it away from the ISS, which should prevent a crash between the two. So if Starliner winds up not being able to get home, NASA says it'll essentially just float away into the great unknown. Wouldn't that be the cherry on top for this mission?
Awful.
Yeah. So meanwhile, we have some other space news here. SpaceX is scheduled to attempt a launch of 21 satellites into low Earth orbit tomorrow morning at 8:35. If it all goes off, we're going to have that live coverage for you on News 6, News 6 Plus, and on clickorlando.com.
All right, today on Breakfast with Bridget, the buzz was all about mosquitoes. With several mosquito-borne illnesses on the rise, it is a pretty hot topic these days, and the uptick in rainfall gives them more breeding ground here in Central Florida. Today, the Vice President of Technical and Training at Massey Services gave us the latest on fighting these pests. Now, since mosquitoes only need about a week to hatch, the tiniest amount of standing water in the yard, gutters, or foliage can give them a place to breed. But why does it seem like they are attracted to certain people?
we're here breathing, all right, we're letting off chemistries, CO2, octanols in our breath. Your body is producing scents, and the animals, the insects are out there are looking for those scents, and they're using their antenna to guide them to where you are. So, and some people, everybody's body chemistry is a little bit different. And so some people are more attractive to mosquitoes and biting insects than others. And then the other side of it is some people are more sensitive to the bites than other people are.
All right, so he recommends DEET-based repellents, but certain plant-based oils like lemon, eucalyptus, or citronella can also help keep them at bay. And he recommends hiring a professional to get them under control if you've got a big mosquito problem on your hands around the house. But standing water will do it every single time. Every day we dish up something new on Breakfast with Bridget, weekday mornings at 7:30. Watch it on the new 6 Plus streaming app on clickorlando.com. You guys were just having this discussion off camera. Justin, why don't mosquitoes like you?
Get a nice close-up shot of these legs. See that?
It's hairy.
Their hair. I don't think they like going through the hair because I've never had an issue with them.
Where am I?
Jonathan feels this. He's in the same boat.
Yeah.
Ginger gets eaten alive.
Oh my God, it's terrible. I have them right now.
What's the common theme here?
You guys need to shave.
No.
That could be a good experiment, though. I'm all about science, so I'll take one for the team.
News 6 at 6:30. I'm sorry you had to hear about their manscaping. Stream News 6 online anytime on our News 6 Plus Smart TV app.
That'll do it for us. Jonathan's going to be trending.